Hey everybody, how's it going? Burnt Brian here. Welcome to another installment of Burnt Brian's Kitchen. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to do a stuffed chicken recipe that was always a favorite among all my customers at some of the places that I've worked. The employees always wanted to order it. Now, stuffed chicken can vary in all sorts of ingredients, and as far as what you want to put inside of it, I used to do prosciutto and different vegetables. I'm going to switch things up a little bit today and keep it somewhat simple. But first, let's go through and tell you everything you need. You're going to need some chicken breast. Doesn't matter what kind or where you go, preferably organic, but today I had to go cheaper. What I'm going to stuff inside the chicken is we're going to be using some Claussen, established in 1911 Cotswold, double Gloucester with onions and chives. And this is a product of England. So we're going to be stuffing this thing with this onion and chive cheese. And I'm also going to be using some fresh spinach leaves from the local organic market. And let's see, for what we're going to bread the chicken with, you're just going to use some standard Vigo Italian breadcrumbs from the store, and I'm going to spice it up a little bit using some ground up peanuts from Captain Salty's hot nuts, and these are the hottest variety, so it's going to be an extra spicy shell on the outside. And I'm going to be topping it with green and red bell peppers with scallions, much better than onions. And I'm going to be using some fresh bay leaves right picked from my garden. And I'm going to also experiment. I wanted to do some red wine with this to make it a nice red wine sauce with the shallots and all. But unfortunately I don't have my ID at the moment, so, and they do still card me, I don't know why, but so I'm going to try to switch it up, and I'm going to use a little of this Georgia peach and Vidalia onion hot sauce. And this is another sauce I picked up from Tijuana Flats. I'll tell you more about it later on. So now you know everything you need to delve into this. Besides, your cooking utensils are basic. It's just frying pan. You need a knife and preferably a baking tray, because this is going to bake and it's going to fry. And your oil of choice. I'll be using EVOO extra virgin olive oil. It's always the best way to go. So without further ado, let's take it over to the cutting board and get started. Alright, now that we're at the cutting board, first let's start with a handy little secret. Wet down a rag and put it down on your surface before you put your cutting board down. It'll help keep it in place so it doesn't move around on you while you're trying to work. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to take our chicken breasts here. Now, you can do several different ways with this. You could use a boning knife like this, and some people just generally will take a chicken and they cut in through here and they just create a pocket, and they don't cut all the way around the chicken. But I'm going to do something a little different. The way I like to do this is I take the flat end of the breast and I try to find this curvature. Alright, so basically we'll take this side here. And again, I don't recommend you holding your hand and cutting it like I am, holding the chicken like this, unless you've done this a lot. Because basically what I do is I sense and feel the vibrations of the blade as it's cutting through the chicken. And I know when it's getting close to cutting through to the other side where my fingers are. So, and basically you're just butterflying this like you would anything. You don't want to cut all the way through. You want to make sure that this side stays all the way intact. And basically it's called butterfly because, in a sense, once this is cut down a little more, it resembles a butterfly. So we're going to do this with both pieces of chicken. Alright, now that both of our chicken breasts are filleted open, I'm going to take some of this Cotswold cheese here, and basically, since they have it in this perfect little package the way it is, I'm not going to disturb it. I'm just going to cut some slices, and of course I washed my hands. You always want to wash your hands in between handling raw chicken or raw food of any kind. Alright, so next, after the cheese, you want to take your beautiful fresh spinach here that's been rinsed and washed off. And I basically just sort of tear it into small crumbles. And I want the chicken to be stuffed nice, so we're going to be sure we fill it. Stems were already pulled off. Alright, next step, going to do just a little sprinkle of kosher salt on the chicken. And also going to add some fresh cracked black pepper. Alright, so I already folded up one. Let me show you real quick how to do this. Basically, you want to make sure that you stuff with your fingers. You keep all of the cheese and spinach stuffing in the inside, and you're left with this nice folded up piece of chicken. Okay, and then what I like to do with this is take some toothpicks, just standard kitchen toothpicks, and you go through, and everywhere that it's open, you just feed your toothpick through both sides so that you end up sealing it up. Alright? I think this one probably needs 2 more. So we'll go up here to the top. Make sure I go through one side and come back out the other. And again, one last time. Just go through and come back in through the other side. And that's it. Alright, so here comes the fun part. One ingredient that I forgot to mention is you need some buttermilk here, or you can make an egg wash using eggs and regular milk. Basically, you just use that. It helps really get the breading to stick good to the chicken. So all you're going to do is soak it in this buttermilk. Make sure it's nice and coated. You basically just shake off any excess. Okay. And in this here bread mix, there is lots and lots of those hot peanuts. So I'm expecting this to create a very nice tasting, spicy outer shell. Alright, it's looking good there. And again, you just want to press down firmly. Make sure you get everywhere you look and see is covered. And if you have any other little gaps in between your toothpicks, this is going to make sure that they seal up during the frying process. Alright, that one's good. This is your end product. Alright, so when cooking basically anything, preparation is key. Now that we're finished preparing the chicken, let's go ahead and start on our topping. So what we're going to do is take our green pepper here. You don't have to cut off the ends. The only reason why I do it the way I do is it makes it easy to create nice big slices. Basically all you do is just rip out the insides. Alright. And then to make it uniform, I cut out these big white walls that are in the inside. Just like so. So again, there's nothing wrong with this part of the pepper. It just doesn't look pretty for my meal, and so for presentation purposes, we'll remove it. Alright, so basically then all you do is, since I want these to be nice strips that are going to be the length of this pepper, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and do for the purpose of this dish, that's probably about all I need. I'm just cutting these again into nice sized little strips here. Alright, let's do the same thing with the red onions and the shallots. Okay, so now that we've got our shallots, red peppers, and green peppers all sliced up the way we want them, I'm basically just going to throw them on this plate for now, and they will be forgotten about for a few minutes, because now it is time to get to frying the chicken. So basically what I started doing is just put about 1 ounce or so of the extra virgin olive oil into the saute pan. And you always want to make sure that your oil is to the right temperature before you put your chicken in. You don't want it to be too cold, or else your breadcrumbs are going to end up getting soggy. And you don't want it too hot because you don't want to flash burn it either. So what you do is, if you want to test the heat, you just take a little bit of your breadcrumbs and you sprinkle it in. You see how it's got that nice bubble there? And then you can look in and see what it does to the breadcrumbs. Now, it doesn't look like that it turned brown right away. So I think we're at just about the right temp. We're going to turn this down just a tad bit. And we're going to add our chicken. Boy, that is one big piece of chicken right there. Okay, so basically we're going to let this sit and cook. And I'm going to show you when I flip it over the other side what you want it to look like. Alright, so it's been about 4 or 5 minutes. I think it's just about time to give these a flip. Let's take a look. Oh yeah. This one I flip. See what you got is this nice golden brown coating on it. So now that took about 4 to 5 minutes. It's probably going to take about the same amount of time to get this done. And I'm also going to tilt the pan up and be sure to get these sides here. Now that was my timer for the oven letting me know that it's preheated. During this process here, you want to make sure your oven is set to 350 and preheating while this is going on, so that as soon as it's done here, you can throw it right in the oven. Alright, we just pulled the chicken out of the oil and I just threw it onto one of these baking pans. All sides are nice and golden brown. So basically what we're going to do is just toss this in the oven anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes. I'll be checking it with a thermometer. I want to make sure my internal temperature gets up to 165 for poultry. So let's stick this in the oven and then I'll take you and show you how to do the topping. Alright, so now that our chicken is in the oven baking, we can get started on doing our topping. First thing I'm going to do is just throw on my small pan here. I believe it's an 8-inch pan. And throw in a nice little dollop of butter. And we're going to let that sit there and melt as it is. And I always use real butter. Margarine is it's horrible stuff. Don't eat it. Right, now that the butter is pretty much all the way melted down, we're going to take our mixture here of the red and green bell peppers and shallots. I love to hear the sound of that sizzle. Take a new spatula that wasn't handling the chicken. And not much, but a little dab of kosher salt. It's part of the key and one of the secrets to all big restaurants is to make your food taste really good. When you go out to eat, pretty much all they do is use real butter versus margarine, actual fresh cracked black pepper, and kosher salt. Makes all the difference over regular iodized table salt and regular black pepper. Alright, so basically, we're just going to sit here, toss this up, keep an eye on it, make sure that it gets all nice and caramelized, which means it's almost see-through, very limp, with a nice brown glaze on it. And then we'll take you on to the next stop to finish this off. Okay, so now the onions are all pretty much caramelized and soft. The peppers still have a little bit of firmness to them, but that's alright because they need to cook for a little longer in this. Again, this is a sauce I picked up from Tijuana Flats. It's a Georgia peach and Vidalia onion sauce. It's a winner of all kinds of awards. So I think that it would go perfect with this because it's got a lot of, it's got peach in it, onion, cayenne, jalapeno, a bunch of really good stuff. So all we're going to do with this, add it right to the pan, reduce your heat down to just about low, about as low as you can go. And just let it sit for a few minutes and simmer at a very low heat to kind of let the onions and peppers soak in all of that flavor. It's about time to pull the chicken out of the oven and then we're going to top it with this. And it ought to be pretty amazing. Alright, so now the chicken is beautiful. It's done, cooked to 165 through. It is on the plate and ready to go. I'm going to take this sauce here with a ladle. And I've got a nice big scoop of the the shallots, red peppers and green peppers. Of course, I'm just going to kind of mix and match to kind of give it a good color. And then I'm going to just get a little bit of the sauce by itself. Make sure I drizzle that all over it. And then the final part before we're ready to eat, take some of that fresh basil from the garden, plop it on top. And there you go. Alright, well, welcome back. We've got everything done. The chicken's cooked, topped, and it's ready to eat. My favorite part of the whole process. So one thing I forgot to mention, you want to make sure you remove all of the toothpicks out of the chicken before you go to eat it. I don't want anybody to, end up choking or hurting themselves. But if you look at this, hopefully you can see nice steam rising off. It's got nice green in there from the spinach. You can still see the cheese is runny in it. It's got a great sauce on top. Let's give it a taste. That Georgia peach sauce is perfect with this dish. Absolutely. Wow, that is spot on. I love the nutty flavor from the peanuts. Usually if I have it, I'll try to mix in walnuts, pecans, whatever I can to create a walnut shell. Another thing you can do, of course, like I say, is take red wine with your shallots and stuff and cook it down, but this is perfect as is. You can play around with this recipe however you want. It's all pretty much simple. If you want to speed up the cooking process in the oven, if you're in a hurry, you can jack it up to 450. You just want to check it after 5 minutes or so to make sure it's not overcooking. So that's basically it. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. These videos take a long time to film, edit, and upload, so I really hope you like them. Leave me some comments, some feedback. Yeah, and you can, again, I'll leave a link down in the description how you can follow me on Facebook. And so yeah, I'm going to enjoy the rest of this amazing tasting chicken. I hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, stay toasty, my friends.